Hello, and welcome to the No Wrong Notes podcast, a show hosted by me, Veronica Kokos, holistic voice teacher and singer just like you. Grab a cup of tea, relax, and sit back as we discuss all things singing technique, mindset tips, and more so you can show up as the most confident and creative singer you can be. Hey y'all, and welcome to another episode of No Wrong Notes. Today's episode is all about what to do when you're stuck in a creative rut. Maybe you've been practicing songs for an upcoming audition and the songs are feeling kind of boring. Or maybe you've been feeling like you're going through the motions when it comes to your singing practice. Whatever it is, we're going to chat about the things that you can do to break out of your creative rut. Now, when it comes to feeling stuck creatively in your singing, songwriting, or performing, there are many reasons why we might be hitting a roadblock. We might be stressed, burned out, or we've gotten stuck in a routine that has little variety to it and we're feeling kind of bored with it. Personally, I also look to astrology when I'm in a rut. That sounds so crazy, I know, but I've actually been feeling this way myself lately. And at the time that I'm recording this episode, we're actually in the middle of eclipse season in astrology with the lunar and solar eclipses that have been happening. These events can be a signal to turn inward, ground, and do some self-reflection to prepare for a new chapter. Whatever you believe, I think that we can all agree that creative roadblocks can show up for a variety of reasons. When it comes to breaking out of a creative rut, the first thing that I'll recommend is stepping away from whatever you're working on for a day or two or three. That may sound counterintuitive, especially if you have an audition coming up, so adjust this tip for yourself as necessary. But there is value in taking a break from whatever you're working on and doing something else. Last week, I was feeling creatively stagnant when it came to creating content for social media. Like, I was having a hard time coming up with fresh ideas and fresh ways of presenting them online and was feeling really frustrated about it. Instead of continuing to scroll, I decided that I wouldn't hold myself to any content creation deadlines for that week and that I'd work on other projects that I actually had the creative energy for. Wouldn't you know it, working on those other projects actually inspired me to create a new Instagram post later on anyway. Moving my energy and attention elsewhere and taking a break from this roadblock helped me give myself the mental break that I needed so I could recharge and come back to content creation when I actually had some good ideas. All that to say, take a break from whatever you're working on and do something else. The second thing that I'll recommend is to get out of your head and into your body when you're in a creative rut. I think that we can spend so much time analyzing why things aren't working in our singing and songwriting, spending so much time in the head. In this case, I recommend doing some grounding practices, doing some breathwork exercises, tuning into the breath, maybe stepping outside into nature for a while, even if the only nature you have access to is in a city, and tuning into your senses. You can even go into your backyard or a park, take your shoes off, and literally put your feet in the grass. Doing these things, which help us connect with our physical senses, can get us out of our heads and help us reconnect with ourselves. I also find that I'm more inspired the more time that I spend in nature or in meditation and breathwork practices. Going back to singing, another thing that I like to do when I'm feeling stuck creatively is to listen to new music and maybe even dance along to it. When I say new music, I'm not just talking about the newest releases either. New music is anything that is new to your ears, even if it's from 20, 30, or 40 years ago. I find that listening to really good music that's new to my ears inspires me and reminds me of why I love music so much. It really helps get that creative spark going for me. Recently, I've been getting into the psychedelic rock of the late 60s, and I don't know, it's been kind of inspiring me. I love the kind of imagery that comes up when I listen to it. It's just a lot of fun, and it kind of helps me get out of that creative rut. So that's just an example. The fourth thing that I'll suggest that's along these more musical lines is to experiment singing a song you're used to in a completely different style. For example, taking a classical song like Caro Mio Ben, as everyone who's listened to Beyonce's Cowboy Carter, Caro Mio Ben, singing it in a pop style, or singing a pop song in a country or folk style. Going back to Cowboy Carter, there's a song called Ya Ya in which Beyonce sings, or she takes an excerpt from the Beach Boys' Good Vibrations and puts that into her little kind of rock country song. So this is just an example of the fun ways in which you can experiment with music. This can be a fun exercise that may open up new creative possibilities for you. Who knows? You may discover an entirely new way of singing a song that you've been singing forever. The last thing that I'll share is to shake up your routine. Change it up. While you can certainly switch up your singing practice routine, maybe using some different exercises than you're used to, this can also apply to your daily routine. If you go on walks around your neighborhood throughout the week, try walking a different route. If you eat the same thing for lunch day in and day out, try a different flavor combo. The key thing to remember is novelty. Novelty, or something that is new, helps keep our minds sharp and can open up new creative possibilities. Personally, I actually started running again, so I started shifting my exercise routine, throwing in something new, or rather something old, because I actually used to run cross country and track in high school, and then I fell out of it as I got older. But I've thrown running back into my exercise routine, and I've been exploring new routes around my neighborhood through running, which has been a lot of fun. So this is just an example of something that you can do. Maybe it's not running, maybe it's something else for you, but this is just an example of shaking up your routine, changing things in your daily routine to open up those creative possibilities. Remember, with all of these things that I've suggested in this episode, what may work for me or someone else may not work for you, and that is okay. Take what resonates from this episode and leave the rest, okay? All right. That is the episode for this week. I know we've been keeping things short and sweet around here lately. I've been super, super busy with teaching, and I love this podcast. It's always really fun for me. But I just wanted to share a little something that had been on my mind this week, which is, these creative roadblocks that can come up for us. I'd love to hear your own ways of dealing with these creative roadblocks, getting stuck, feeling really stagnant. Feel free to shoot your own tips over to me on Instagram. If you liked this episode, of course, I would love it if you would leave a 5-star rating and review, or like this video on YouTube if you're watching it on YouTube. Follow me on Instagram and TikTok if you're not already. Follow me on YouTube. I just mentioned YouTube. You can follow us there if you're not already. And until next time, happy singing, y'all.